I do have something to say off the top. I want to get it out of the way.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to
Let me get it out of the way.
All right.
Hey.
Hi,
Okay,
friends. It's Dean.
we're gonna get-
Lachlan has something he would like to say before we start. Just
we're gonna get going, and when
Yeah.
we're gonna get on a roll, and then I'm not gonna get this out. And this is not important at all to the overall arching theme of the show today. But I do have some advice for you. And
What's
keep
that?
in mind, I
advice
am well
for me
aware.
or advice for the listener?
Advice
and the
for
watcher?
you.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
personally, right? Actually, you know what? I am actually equipped to give this advice. Okay? Right? Look at me. Watch.
Well,
look
we'll
at
find
me.
out.
Look at my face.
looking.
Everyone, look
I'm
at my
looking.
face. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Glasses on. Okay? Glasses off. Eyes way too close together.
Yeah.
Looks way better.
Right.
And also, if you wear glasses with what's happening with you with the weight loss and this human bobblehead thing that you got going on, it downplays the size of your head. Like you look more like a human bobblehead now with your glasses off, and your eyes are a little close together.
No, they're not close together.
they are.
Look at my
They're
eyes. No,
close.
my eyes are like perfectly set apart.
No,
I don't have.
your head's too big for your body now, and
I
your
know it
eyes are
is.
too close together. Put your glasses on. It's.
I don't even have them. I don't even know where they are. I just, dude,
It's 'cause
I
you're
am so
stoned.
fucking high right now. It is unbelievable. I just came back. Do you know what I'm on? I'll tell you what I'm on. I'm on fentanyl. That's what I'm on. It's like a big deal. Everybody that gets a colonoscopy has fentanyl. I didn't even know there was a
I
deal.
did not
Something
know
like that.
that.
I don't know. Maybe some kind of fentanyl. That's what
Can
I
you
heard.
ask for another one? Like
I asked for a lot of it. I said, just make sure I don't remember any of this. And the guy's like, don't worry about it. So yeah, colonoscopy day, my very tender, dainty asshole, took a very serious rogering today from a tool that looked like it was from like a cattle prod from Planet
you
of the
don't
Apes
go
or
up
something.
there very often either. Like you're
No.
not doing exploration in the bum, right?
No, I don't.
No.
But 50 screening, couple other issues, got to get it figured out. So I make this appointment and I go in for my colonoscopy today. And, you know, you get the pre-appointment. I think we talked about it. Everybody should do this, by the way. Colon cancer kills everybody. Kills everybody. It's coming for you. It's coming for me. It's coming for Lachlan. It's coming for everybody.
I gotta go.
And you want to make sure your pipe hole is clean, right? You got to get someone in there. They want to have a look inside. They're going to get that little camera. They're going to weasel its way through the thing. And then you're going to see all the diverticulum of your colon, your transverse, ascending, descending colon. This was the most fucking wild experience I have ever had in my life.
Just because
Wild.
of fentanyl, or
All
because
of it.
you
All
like
of
the
it.
bum stuff?
No, I
Are
don't
you
like
into the bum stuff now?
I'm absolutely opposed to the bum stuff ever since I got wedgied in the 10th grade. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't think I'm interested in that. It's like it's a fear I have.
I've never been. I know guys.
Wedgied?
Well, no. The bum thing. I remember there was I worked with a guy at the last radio station who was into it, and he talked
On
openly
himself or others.
He talked openly about putting things in his bum, having things put in his bum.
He would love a colonoscopy then. That has never
I'm
happened
like-
to me. I've never put anything inside myself. I have distinct plans to never do that. And
I remember
for
when
health
he
reasons,
said
I
out
had
loud,
to.
"You've never masturbated with a dildo in your ass?" I'm like, "No, I never have." And he goes, "What?" He was so shocked. He goes, "I thought everybody did that." I'm like,
Yeah, no, not everybody does it.
Paul.
No, and my significant other too. I'm like, she knows that I'm like averse. Like I just don't put anything in that area. So I go in and get my thing.
Not even a digit.
Not zero. Good. I'm all external. Let's just have fun with the external, and I'll go in.
What if she offered to toss your salad?
Yeah, that's never happening.
That's no. Are you
Never
sure?
in my life would I allow someone in that region.
Well,
because
you're
I know
not
what
very
happens down
flexible
there.
either.
No,
right?
I'm not at all. I'm terrible. I can't. You should have seen me put my knees up to my chest today. Guys like knees up to your chest. I'm like, as far as they go, bro. Like I'm old and I'm decrepit. So these knees aren't going any higher. And he's like, okay, I'll figure it out. So you get it. Here's the deal.
I
You
would
go
be
to your
good at that 'cause I'm
colonoscopy.
very flexible from yoga. I can get into a good
Congratulations.
position. Like I could have my salad tossed easily.
Congratulations. There was no salad tossing. This was a medical performance is what it was.
Oh.
So I go
Get into
in,
yoga.
sit down, wait 20 minutes. My number gets called. I'm trepidatious. I've never had anything shoved in my ass.
What time was this?
2:30. It's like 2 hours ago. So I'm high.
I can't believe we're doing a podcast.
Well,
You didn't drive home, did you?
Man. Of course not. I made my sons come pick me up. I'm like, guys, you got to come get me. I'm fucked. They're like, okay. So I go in, take me in the back. Really nice lady. Don't want to say her name. Let's just make it up. Michelle. Michelle comes back. Hi, how are you? Good. Nice to see you. We go through the laundry list of things and lay down. And she's like, okay, put this gown on, lay down, and the laundry list starts. She's like, do you drink? Gowns. No, don't. I know my ass was hanging out. I've got an old man ass too. It's gross. But I didn't care because it's like, I'm just here for a quick fit. And dude, it's like a walk-in clinic for people that want to have things shoved up their ass. You're in, you're out. So I go in, questionnaire, gown, lay on your side. Oh, at first lay on your back. And then she's like, I'm just going to stick the needle in your arm. I'm like, okay. Had a hard time finding the needle. So that wasn't a lot of fun. I can tell you that was the most painful part, the vein. The most painful part of my colonoscopy was her trying to find a vein. That was it.
What?
Yeah. It's a breeze, but it's an experience is what I'm saying. So she gives me the protocol. Doctor's going to come in. He's going to tell you what's going on. He's going to, take some shit, pump it in that needle I just shoved in your arm. You're going to feel great. I'm like, I hope so. This is all I said to her. I'm like, my dad's had like 4,000 of these, and he loves the drug portion of this. He goes, yeah. It's a lot of fun. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. So doc comes in, sits down, really nice guy, gives it the old squeeze. I'm on another planet in 4 seconds.
What?
4 seconds. 4 seconds. I'm high as fuck. Just yeah.
Get out of here.
And not only am I high, not only am I lightheaded, my ability to care about anything, gone.
Right
0.
out the door.
Toast. Not interested in anybody, anything. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just here for some of my ass. This is a lot of fun. This is going to be good. That's like, it was like every mood I had going into the whole thing changed. Well, for sure, it's why they give it to you. Because you can't put you out.
Make you more susceptible to having something in your bum. It's the bum drug.
But I was pissed a little bit. Like, I was happy to get, if it was fentanyl, I was happy to get that as opposed to being put out. And the reason why I wanted to get put out is because my dad tells me these horror stories. And I realized after my first colonoscopy how big of a pussy my dad is. He's like, I've had 5. It's terrible. You got to do this. And they put you out. I don't want to remember any of it. You get this thing shoved up your pipe hole. And I'm like, oh. But dude, in and out, I watched it on TV. I laid there on my side, fully aware, happy, didn't give a shit. I'm watching the camera snake its way inside my colon, makes a right turn at the ascending colon, then transverse, makes its way up into the transverse colon, and then into the descending colon, and then you can see it come out, and he's checking out these little nooks and crannies, and I'm like, that is the clean. And I said to him, I'm like, dude, that's got to be the cleanest asshole you've ever seen. He goes, it's up there. It's up there. You did a great job prepping.
Prep.
Excellent prep. And happy to say,
you could get into porn.
I'd probably remember the outside's no good.
There's a lot of prep if you're going to do anal.
The outside's no good. Like I watched the camera go in, and like before it went in, I was like, I don't think I want to watch this because that's
nasty down there.
The whole thing. And the second it goes in your body and you can see it.
Oh, did you have to do any trimming? Like dip your nuts in neat?
No, I'm trimmed up all the time anyway. Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Right.
I was considering shaving my a-hole, but I decided I just can't do it. It's too much. It's like, I don't want to touch anything. There's veins and stuff like that. I'm familiar with the front, not familiar with the back. I didn't want to get all crazy with the back just in case I did something I shouldn't have done because I'm not familiar with that area of my body.
I remember one time I had to go in for a checkup, and I made the mistake. I put the wrong guard on my clipper, right? Because I took a look and it was like full on bush, and I'm like, I can't go in like that. That's like he's gonna be rooting around down there, and it's weird. Like it's
rummaging.
It looks like a bird's nest. Like, what am I doing? So I went and I zipped it, and I'm like, oh shit, I had the wrong thing, and I shaved way too close, and I'm like, whatever. And so without thinking, I did the whole area, right? Yeah. And then now I got like hair on my legs and my stomach, and then I just got this like bald nut sack and dick, and and then I started to panic because I thought, my doctor's going to think I did this for him. Like, I don't want that. Like, that's weird, right?
You know what's weird is that it looked like an alien crop circle on your body because you're such a hairy dude. Yeah. That would look weird if you're the doctor.
And then I tried to fade in the rest of it. The fade doesn't work. I'm not good at that. The fade didn't work.
That's for barbers, dude. That's not for guys like you. Like, we don't know how to do a fade haircut.
No,
you definitely can't do it on your pubes.
No, it didn't
work.
I
get it.
If you're ever trying to do the fade. Yeah. So anyway, I went into work and then I told the guys that I did this and I said to him, do you think the doctor's going to think it's weird? And they're like, yes, he's going to think it's weird. So I canceled my appointment.
Until it grew back?
Until I got a little more coverage.
Dude, I considered trimming that area of my body today when I was in the shower, and which was itself a gamble because I've been taking this stuff that cleans you out. It's called Pico Salax, I think. Cleans you out, and you got to take it at night, then you got to take it in the morning again. And I must have gone to the bathroom like 44 times today. And so I was like,
so are you just shitting water at that point? Or?
Yeah, totally. Because you got to clean yourself out.
You can't eat, right?
Nothing. Haven't eaten in 2 days. Nothing. Haven't eaten in 2 days. Zero. Broth.
Well,
That's
might
it.
also
Broth.
be a part of your
anger. I'm hangry. Yeah. But it was a tremendous experience. I really enjoyed it. And the best part of the experience was when they were done. And he's like, really smart that you came in at 50, family history. That should be a great reminder to everybody. Take care of your health. Go get it checked out. Fellas, go get the plumbing looked at. The other thing, the prep was the worst part. No big deal.
Yeah.
And the best part is, if you love to fart, like I love to fart. Everybody loves to fart. When you leave those things, there's so much air that gets inserted into that region because you're putting a foreign body in there. So it's like a vacuum. You fart for a good 7 to 10 minutes when you're done. And each one better than the next. To the point where I'm high, nurse on one side of the gurney, nurse on the other. They're wheeling the gurney out of the procedure room. My back is to the one lady, very nice woman, the woman that was doing the needle. And I greased one. And it might have been one of the great farts ever farted. And I'm high, as you know, so I don't care. And I just go, oopsie doopsie. And she goes, that was right in my face. And I'm like, oopsie doopsie. I don't know what else to say. Oopsie doopsie. And she goes, it's okay. It's totally natural. I go, you must get farted on a lot here after these things. She goes, 10 to 12 times a day, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Yeah. And so I've got a healthy appreciation for nurses at colonoscopy clinics. That can't be fun.
I think anybody that's in that sector, that the health sector that takes care of people, you have to have a certain wiring. And
nurses too. Doctors.
Yeah,
and you know what? Here's the thing. The science behind what I just went through, for every single person out there, the anti-science dick that doesn't trust doctors, watching all the fucking convoy losers now get hauled off to jail, who didn't believe in science. Science is incredible. Like, I was in and out in an hour. Mm-hmm. I had someone put a camera in my body for an hour. I was high and didn't feel it for an hour.
It's interesting.
There's professionals tell me, no, don't worry about it. We're just going to take good care of you. We'll have a look. We're going to have you back in 5. Science is amazing. I cannot believe that we have absolutely decimated the trust factor of health professionals in this country after what I just went through. For anybody that's been through a thing, Amber Mack and I were talking about it not long a time ago. She's a tech expert. She writes about tech. She's wonderful. She's like the gold standard when it comes to tech in this country. And she had a major procedure, and it was all robotic. And I won't get into the details, but she kind of gave me the details of it. And she's like, and she made a point of saying, for every stupid she didn't say this. I'm adding the colorful language. Every stupid fucking idiot out there that's like, you can't trust doctors, you can't trust science, they should have watched my procedure. And I feel the same way about this colonoscopy. How fast it was, how calm everybody was, how easy it was to get done, the fucking killer drugs you get. That should make everybody that doesn't believe in science, that should make it worth it for all of them. It is amazing. Our healthcare system in this country, you wait, are you inconvenienced? I get that. It is incredible to walk into a clinic in Canada, show them your fucking health card, and to get a colonoscopy and walk out and go, thank you. You just had major league professionals look inside your bum hole and make sure that you're actually healthy. And I thought that was fucking phenomenal. Top to bottom, start to finish. Yeah. Everybody should regale in the healthcare profession. You should. Absolutely.
I think there's an element of that, but I also think there is in any industry, there is, and ours is broken. Our healthcare system is broken. Even people in it will admit that there needs to be a fix. And I don't know what that fix is, right? To deal with the wait times and things like that. And then there is abuse, right? Whenever you throw money into anything, I think we're lucky in Canada that we don't have the same level of abuse that they do in the system, right? In the States, right? Where Big Farm does have a real control.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is over the last like 2-3 years because of the pandemic, and I was thinking about it. We're going to talk about Pierre Poilievere here in just a second. Because you've had this culture war of assholes and religious dickheads trying to tell everybody that science doesn't work, vaccines, all that shit. All of it.
Small portion of the audience.
Yeah, but they're loud and dumb as fuck. So, and I watch people give away their health over the past few years. And this is like a colonoscopy. What is it? It's no big deal. You go in, you go out, but it's a medical procedure, right?
Yes.
And it comes with stress.
Yes.
Where the fuck are those people going to get their medical procedures, their colonoscopies? The woods? What are they going to, a laundromat? Hijacking the bathroom to look at each other's anuses?
They go through the same things. They just
they don't trust any of those people, though.
I don't know about that. Dude. I think they're just loud about the inadequacies of the system, and when they need it, they take full advantage of it. Like that guy that almost died in Saskatchewan when he was an anti-vaxxer. Then he got COVID and ended up in the ICU.
Mark Friesen. That guy was such a douchebag too.
Like if you're so worried about the medical system, why now are we saving your ass? Right? Like
you know what? And it dawned on me today because I was the perfect patient. I was a great patient. I just walked in. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Go do my thing. Leave. My guy's perfect patient. I go, thanks a lot. I really appreciate being a great patient. Thank you for your expertise. I'm high, of course, so I'm saying weird stuff like, "Hey, you guys need more plush toys here." And he was like, I really appreciate hearing that. We haven't heard that a lot. And I'm like, seriously? He goes, yeah, dude. It's crazy how people look at us now. Like in the last 3-4 years, he's like, you'll have patients come in and tell you that they don't want freezing. They don't want an injection of any kind. And the guy's like, but you have colon cancer. We have to check. Nope. Not a chance. I don't want you injected. He goes, well, what do you think chemo is? What do you think radiation is? And it was amazing. It was just like a light went off in my head where I'm like, oh my God, we can trust medical professionals. I totally forgot about that.
Well,
I forgot.
I think you also need to be proactive about your own health, right? I think you have to be aware of what you have control over. And I think you have to be also open to the idea that somebody might be smarter than you once you get to a certain point with an illness where
somebody with a medical degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's a bad idea to allow yourself to ask questions, right? To push them to ask questions, to push them for things that might benefit you.
I don't even know what you're asking them, though. Like, that's the thing. Those people that don't believe in science now, they're the last person that's going to go, you know what? I've got a great question. I've got a great medical question. For this medical professional that went to school for 20 years, I've got a question I don't think he's thought of. Where do you even start? That's the thing. That it was like, again, I go back to this, like a light went off with everybody who's like, you can't trust Big Pharma. I get it. You can't. If you've seen Painkiller or if you've seen The Pain Hustler, which I'm going to watch tonight.
Good movie.
If you're aware of like Oxy and all that stuff, I get it. Yeah. For profit, way worse in the States. Same here in Canada. Not as bad. Better regulated, all that other stuff. But to the average fucking hillbilly, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, who calls the vaccine an experimental treatment, calls medical professionals Nuremberg people, doesn't says that nurses are lying over people, and we should have. It's going to sound terrible. We should have forcefully shut those people up 3 years ago. Forcefully. Yeah, I know. It's a terrible thing to say. We should have. They should have had their driver's licenses taken away. These people should have been put in a fucking dark room for 2 years and let out with beards. Honest to God. You know the damage that they've done to the medical system and the belief that people have in doctors and lawyers. And I'll tell you what, part of me, before I went in for my colonoscopy, was like, I hope these guys know what they're doing. There are a lot of bad things about medical professionals. Like, that was in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And then today I'm like, what was I thinking? Why would I even let a crack of that stupidity in my life? It's just nuts.
Well,
yes, it's good to ask for second opinions if you don't like one you get. But bottom line is, medical professionals in this country and our healthcare system, for all its warts, are fucking fantastic. Take advantage of what you can.
Better plan than locking them up in a room. I think, and this is the issue that I had with it. I think you should have allowed people to make the decisions they wanted to make, for better or worse, because there is nothing you're going to do to change the mindset, right?
Yeah.
I think there should have been an opt-out portion of this,
of life,
and of the vaccine. And I know people are, you can disagree with me with that, but I stand by my right, like the free speech thing. I really do believe in that. And if you're too
I don't
stupid,
disagree.
If you're too dumb to take it, then I'm sorry. And then there should be rules around you not being allowed to do certain things. And people should have been allowed to say no to it. And then companies and businesses and organizations should have been allowed to say, no, I believe that you should have got it. And I believe that you should have and then have the right to not allow them into your restaurant. Or
totally. And you know what? That part I don't agree with. I don't disagree with you on that. I don't disagree that, like, going back 2 years, I don't disagree now that people should have been allowed to die on their own or get sick on their own or not get it. Whatever. I get it. There was a community response. We're all there now. It doesn't even matter. I'm talking about the ones that went out of their way to go and protest at doctors' offices. I'm talking about the ones that showed up to fucking hospitals. Like, all I had in my head when I was getting my colonoscopy was like, I can't believe we invaded these people in their private spaces in hospital and clinics to protest against their efforts over the past 3 years.
What makes it worse is that you don't need to actually go to the doctor. You don't have to go to the doctor.
Never. You die at home.
Yeah, you're allowed to go home and die.
Yeah, you go get a staph infection, go die at home. Who cares?
So the idea that they're somehow feel obligated or feel like they have the right to go to that person's place of work and protest what they're doing, you know what? That's the struggle here, right? I think at the end of the day, most people in the health profession, and I'm talking 99.9% of them, are there for the right reasons. They want to take care of people.
100%.
That's their wiring. So to question their motives is just, to me, it's crazy. You don't trust that drug? That's fine. Go do your own thing, right? Mm-hmm. Go eat horse paste. Go nuts. That's up to you. When we started putting rules in place where people were like, they had to take it, mm-hmm. That's where I think we lost sight of the we lost the plot a little bit.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but I'm really glad we made a bunch of them do it anyway. Like, I could give two fucks at this point. Like, especially in a healthcare setting. You know what I mean? Like, in a healthcare setting, you had a bunch of nurses go, I'm not interested in this. I don't believe in this stuff. Then they got fired, and then all of them got rehired again.
I hate to see all the people that got the vaccine dying now. I mean,
yeah,
slowly succumbing.
That dude, in the next 3 years, we'll all be dead. Don't you remember that? Like 88% of this country is going to be goners. That's what they want you to believe.
There was people. I knew people that were planning on going to that encampment outside of Edmonton to wait for everyone to die. Like I knew a handful of people that were.
Did they ever start that encampment?
Oh, I think they did.
It was like a Hutterite colony for fucking losers that don't believe in science, wasn't it? That's what it was.
That guy, we were just talking about that, and that I remember. I don't think I've ever mentioned his name, but he used to work in our building, and he was. Remember, I told you about the guy that stopped talking to his parents because he had like a 23-year-old dog or some fucking thing, and it died during COVID.
And he blamed the parents because they got vaccinated and came around and pet the dog.
Well, and something about they shed something or something.
Yeah, spike proteins, and it killed the dog.
They shed spike proteins that killed his 23-year-old dog.
I forgot all about this stuff. We haven't talked about COVID and those stupid fucking idiots.
That guy, ironically, was in jail at one point when police pulled him over and found a large amount of cocaine in the trunk of his car.
Is that experimental cocaine? Was that experimental cocaine?
Those guys willing to do blow, but I'm not going to go to the doctor and get a vaccine.
I love the guys.
I trust the Mexican guy that's putting the blow together way better than the doctors.
Yeah, the Mexican guy that put there, the Colombian dude that literally had to bring the coke into the country to give the anti-vaxxer who doesn't believe in science, but he had to pull it out of his rectum to give it to him after he got here. And he's like, this is good coke. And he's like, looks great. Is this experimental coke? No, it's real coke, and it's right out of my asshole. Great, but I don't do business with anybody who's vaccinated. No, SA, not vaccinated.
What was that guy's name? He was a DJ. I shouldn't say his name. Anybody that's in Edmonton listening to this probably knows about this guy.
He worked at the radio station?
Yes.
On air?
He worked for one of the radio stations in the building that I work for.
Does he live in this compound, the kibbutz of idiots?
Okay, I don't know if he ended up out there.
Does this town exist? This little encampment, does it exist?
You know where
let's
it was.
Hide here till it's like The Last of Us. That's what they thought they were. The Last of Us. Is that it?
No, they legit.
A bunch of Pedro Pascals.
Legit, Dean. I swear to God, there was a group of people somebody had bought land. I think it was west of town, and I could be wrong. But I think they had like a big chunk of land, like 10 acres or something like that. And they were going to start this camp for people that weren't vaccinated. And so if you weren't vaccinated, it was the only way to get in. And I know that this DJ spike protein killed his dog guy that was in jail where they found cocaine on him. That I think he spent a year or 6 or 18 months or something in jail. So I know he was one of the guys that was supposed to go because he was posting on his Facebook page and asking other people that weren't going to take the vaccine to go with him.
Yeah.
And that was right around the time I found out that Chris Sky was also sort of hanging out with a group of those people that were going to go out there. Now, you know that camp, Hee-Ho-Ha?
Yeah. I used to work there when I was in university.
I think it was around there.
People.
I swear to God, I think it was around there because I remember seeing something about how to get there, like instructions or something like that.
And it was next.
And they were going to be self-contained, and they were going to create the society. And the whole idea was they were going to go out there and wait it out. Well, we all died from the vaccine, and then they were going to move back into the cities and take over Edmonton.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to see that.
I think they probably thought against it when they realized there was like 15 people that were going to go out there.
Yeah, and it costs a lot of money, and it's a lot of work having your own kibbutz. Like it's. The Hutterites aren't lazy people, is my point. No, they're not. They're like,
and they know how to do everything.
We can't just sit on this farm and do drugs and get high. We can't. We have to find food. Yeah, you do, you lazy fuck. Oh, well, forget it. Not interested.
Can you imagine? I can't imagine anything worse than being out of town with Chris Sky. Like, you know what I mean?
Farm,
like on a farm, not being able to.
Dude. You know what? I can't imagine being anywhere in public with anybody who thinks vaccines are the devil. I can't imagine like actually being friends with anybody who's like, you know what? This is a government conspiracy. I can't.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was a conversation about the about the sort of that cult mentality, the people that get sucked into that type of thinking, and a lot of it is wanting to be a part of something, right? Like they want to be part of a community, and again, listen, I know the religious thing kind of throws a wrench into it, and I know your thoughts on it, but I think that's a huge part of it, Dean. I think
religion and stupidity, they go hand in hand. Like what better group of people to turn into medical digital brown shirts than a bunch of dumb fucks that love to go to church and believe in a higher power? Like there's no greater rube out there.
We have this guy in town, and he's in trouble right now with the law. I can't remember what he's in trouble with. It's something weird. What's this guy's son of a bitch? Somebody's gonna know. Somebody in the
Ponzi scheme. Well, it was a very generic explanation, so I don't know if I can help you with that one.
No, I'll get. There's a cult in the Edmonton area. Yeah. This guy believes he has people that come to his church, and he's got one in Sherwood Park and one in St. Albert. And
John DeRuiter, is his name John DeRuiter?
Yeah. And they stare at him like he puts a picture of himself up on a big screen in the church, and that's one of the things, right? And we've heard stories about other stuff that you've got to do if you're a member of this cult. And there's people here that,
like, what? What do you have to do if you're a member of the cult?
Well, I don't have all the details, but every once in a while you'll meet somebody that was like a member of that cult. So, and it's just like, what? Like, you seem like an okay, well put together. Why did you? It's community, man.
Is this the guy? Is this him?
Yeah.
John DeRuiter. Headline: more sexual assault charges laid against Edmonton spiritual leader and his wife, who's kind of a snack, Leanne DeRuiter. She looks pretty hot.
So the
self-styled spiritual leader John DeRuiter and his wife are facing additional charges of sexual assault. Police announced on Thursday. 63-year-old John DeRuiter,
and people have been coming
facing charges,
joining this guy's cult for years.
Sexual assault. New charges related to 3 separate incidents. They've been coming to him for years, have they?
That's a picture of him at the Stampede.
Yeah, his wife, Leanne DeRuiter, is jointly charged with additional counts of sexual assault, including the same ones. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's a spiritual. John DeRuiter claims a global following and bills himself as the living embodiment of the truth. He founded his college in 2006 and better became known for holding meetings which he stares silently at his followers for hours. There's your point. Investigators believe there may be more additional complaints. Both husband and wife have been released on bail.
We have that locker room death pool.
June. Yeah.
And one of our challenges was going to be you had to go to his church for a meeting.
I would.
If you lost.
I would. I'd go to that church. I'd go to that church and have I'd drag him into the confession box.
We all have to agree on the wager. And Jimmy was like, I'm not doing that.
That's where he draws the line at spending the evening with a cult.
We've had some horrible ideas with the wagers. Our worst one was the 2 losers have to go to an AA meeting. And my boss is like, you can't.
And you got to pretend the whole time. No, you can't actually. I know that for a fact.
You cannot. And we're like, why? And he's like, you can't. He was getting very animated.
Oh, he should. Speaking of alcoholics, sad story this weekend. Matthew Perry died. You see that news?
Yeah.
Really fucking sad. It's funny because he's one of those dudes that, you're like, oh, well, Matthew Perry died. That makes sense. He's an alcoholic or a drug addict. And he was a drug addict and alcoholic for 20, 25 years. But
he did everything.
He did it all. There he is. This is I believe, one of the last known photos of him. A day or two before he passed, and he died at his home in a hot tub of cardiac arrest. This
was hard.
Autopsy has come out. There were no booze around. There were no illicit drugs around. Apparently, there were some. I believe there were some, if I'm not mistaken, prescription drugs in the bathroom, but not the kind of prescription drugs that not one would like SSRIs, like mood enhancers and stuff like that. They weren't like Vicodin, But
he was on a drug and I don't know what it is. Apparently he was taking drugs that you take when you get off of things.
Methadone?
Like when you like something like that, but there's different versions of it.
Yeah.
Because my wife was saying that in the book he admitted that there were certain drugs that he would have to take for the rest of his life because of the abuse that he put his body through. So
yeah, it was a great book. If you haven't read it, it's great. It's called Friends, Lovers, Friends, and the Big Terrible Lie, I believe is the name of the book. It's a great book. Read it as well. Details the length and the depth of his addiction. Details how he was in rehab. I think 65 times is what he said. 65 fucking times. Or maybe it was like 25 and detox was 65. But his regimen was fucking Hunter S. Thompson-esque. Like, it was unbelievable. A quart of vodka a day, 55 Vicodin pills a day, 50 fucking 5. 2 is enough for any normal elephant to get through leg surgery. I mean, it like 55. He was in a coma where he died and they had to bring him back to life. Not once, but twice.
A couple of times.
The dude, basically, from the time he ascended to being who he was on Friends, is Chandler Bing. The dude just kept drinking. So from the start of Friends, this is kind of what I got out of the book and everything I've gathered from reading about it. From the start of when Friends became a huge deal back in the 90s, it was go time. And he drank. And the drinking led to Coke. And when Coke wasn't enough, he'd go to Oxy. Oxy wasn't enough, he'd go to meth, crack. I mean, he did it all. He did everything he could and just couldn't get fucking sober. It was like 25 years. Do you remember watching Friends? Like, he came back one season and he was like 100 pounds more than he was before. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, holy fuck, Chandler Bing. I think they called him like all kinds of names, like Chandler Food or Chandler Bing Bang Chicken. And he was a mess. He was just this incredible mess for 20, 25 years, who found relief, I believe, in the last like 3-4 years of his life, where he finally was able to get sober. So the fact that he died, early reports are, after a 2-hour game of pickleball, came back and got in the hot tub, had a cardiac arrest, had a heart attack, massive heart attack.
You don't think he
died in the hot tub? You
don't think he slipped?
I don't know. You know, and these are really fucking hard things to kind of cipher through. Right.
The biggest thing with that, with a lot of these stories, and I mean, we're not making this up, but if you go clean and then you jump back in, a lot of times people will succumb. That the ODs.
Yeah, you don't jump in. What happens is, and again, fortunate to know a bunch of guys that have gotten sober. Fortunate to know people work with guys that want to have a better life, so they don't do these things anymore, or they'll come to me and say, "Hey, how do I?" Kind of like what Matthew Perry said, and we'll get to that in just a second. But you don't jump back into addiction from where you left off.
Yeah,
you go probably about 2 feet past that, and then you jump back in. Right. So it's like, I got to get it all in because I haven't had any for X amount of time. And I know how this feels and I want to get feeling really good right away. And so every person that relapses goes all the way back in even more. Not very many people have the ability to moderate after that. And usually with drugs and alcohol too. So,
and there is something about, and I mean, I don't know if they'll ever figure it out, but there is some people out there that just have a chemical makeup that allows them to do these things and abuse their bodies more so than anybody else. Like I've known people in my days where they just have this extraordinary ability to drink and do drugs, and it just doesn't have the same impact. I got a really close friend and in Winnipeg that I hung out with quite a bit. And that guy was unbelievable. Like, what he could do on a daily basis, the amount that he could drink. And I know he was doing other things, and he admitted to me later. It was remarkable. And the guy was like, I'm telling you, $1.25, still is to this day, $1.25 soaking wet. And he was the last one up.
Yeah.
The first one up. And the first one at the table with the drink, the last one at the table with the drink, every time without question. And I remember he is back on the booze, but he doesn't do drugs anymore. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He ended up, the strange story, he called me years ago and he said, hey, listen, if you got a minute, can we meet? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He says, let's go for lunch. So we went for lunch and he sat me down and he's like, I'm not going to give his name out, but he sat me down and he said, listen, I'm really sick and I'm going away and I don't think I'm coming back. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so he had a really rare form of leukemia and he ended up in the hospital and they basically put him in like isolation. Like it was like a separate floor of the cancer wing in Winnipeg. And he was going there to die. And he ended up coming out of there after about, I think it was 18 months or 16 months or something like that. He had a bone marrow transplant. His brother was a perfect match and they cleaned him out and he recovered and he came back out and he went in there ready to die. And he was always talked about writing a book because he was patient number 25 and he was the first one with that cancer in that hospital that survived. Everybody else up to that date had died and he knew that. And again, it's a rare form of leukemia is what he had. And he's still alive today. He has to go for annual checkups. And so the drug side of things, I think he's stopped, but he's back. He's drinking again. Like I know he'll have a cocktail at night, right?
That's all right.
But I remember talking to him about that, him going into the hospital. And I said, do you think your level of toxicity do you think this illness maybe was dormant in you? And it was just, because I told him, I said, I've never been around anybody that can drink and do what you do. And he was like, that's interesting. You bring that up because I've often thought that there was something wrong with me and my chemical makeup. And I didn't read the book, but I know that Matthew Perry in his book, his memoir that he released a year ago, almost to the date of his death, I think it was November 1st last year that came out. Mm-hmm. My wife read it right away. I think I got it for her for Christmas. He talks about being able to outdrink everybody that he knew at a very young age and consume copious amounts of everything. And he always had this ability, right?
Yeah, I'm always amazed at those guys too. In fact, like, you hear stories like that and I get, as someone who doesn't drink anymore, I get jealous of those people. Like, I'm like, seriously, there's stories of guys that could go all night, all day.
I think that's the wrong way to go with this.
Totally. I'm just being honest, dude. I can't help it. And I like my buddy Dave, greatest guy on the planet. I got two friends named Dave. One's white, one's black. Black Dave. So Black Dave, one of my best friends in the world, he can drink all day long, all night long, and he's still got the smile on his face the next day. He's like,
is he a bigger dude?
No, he's super ripped, little guy. He's got he's like a great job.
Sometimes the drinking thing is type 2 diabetes.
He's always in his cups, always. And I remember talking to him a while ago, and I'm like, how is this fucking possible that you can keep going? You're like 62 now. I've been drinking with this guy for 20 years. He is geared down while I quit. I tapped out. I'm like, 6 years ago, I can't do this anymore. I got to quit. I get hangovers and stuff. And he's like, well, I get hangovers all the time. You just power through it. I go, how do you power through it? He goes, you have 2 Caesars and a Stella. Everything's great after that. And I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? Where did you come from? How can you do this?
4 ounces of vodka will just about clear up anything.
Unless you're Matthew Perry. And the interesting part of Matthew Perry's journey was how honest he was about it. I wrote a piece at crier.co. You can read it. The one thing you wanted to be remembered for, and keep in mind, Chandler Bing, dude, this guy was a comedian. He was Ryan Reynolds before Ryan Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds, right? Before he turned into this super, super action hero, dude. He was one of Canada's great exports. He really was.
Yeah.
He went to school in Ottawa. He's a Canadian dude, or went to school in Ottawa. His father was a great guy, an actor. His mother is married to Morrison. What's his name? Keith Morrison from CTV, the reporter guy from Dateline.
Yeah.
Really Canadian royalty.
He had
all the things that he's
he had a
done.
fist fight with Justin Trudeau in prep school too.
Well, he beat the shit out of him, which should make you like him even more, right? Because you can't stand the guy. But I want you to listen to something. This is Matthew Perry. Of all the things that he had done up until this point, this is what he wanted to be remembered for.
About me, bar none, is if somebody comes up to me and says, I can't stop drinking, can you help me? I can say yes and follow up and do it. That's the best thing. And I've said this for a long time. When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want that to be the first thing that's mentioned. And I'm going to live the rest of my life proving that.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? When you think about it, like of all
It
the
is
things the
sad.
guy's done, you know, the most important thing to him, which I think is fucking incredible. The most important thing to him was that he be known for knowing how to help other people deal with the misery that he had to deal with in his life. That to me is fucking heroic.
The thing that struck me about him is with that struggle, because you've been hearing a lot of stories about Matthew Perry, is that he always he felt just worthless. Like he never felt good enough at any level. Right. And I mean, I'm not a Friends fan, but it was on constantly because my daughters loved the show. Mm-hmm. So they binged it. I don't know how many times. They're really upset. My wife watches the show. So it's been on in my house for years. Hands down, my favorite character.
Oh, Chandler Bing, yeah,
funniest
for sure.
Guy.
Joey wasn't bad either.
Joey was good, but Chandler was always my favorite. I've always been a Chandler guy.
You know, it's
and I had
it's
no
odd
idea
because
he had that struggle until that book came out. Did you? I had
that he was a drug addict and an alcoholic. Yeah, dude.
You knew?
You don't totally. Everybody
did.
No
idea. I had no idea. No idea until the book came out and my wife started telling me about it.
He's been pretty honest about it too. Like that was the thing about him that I liked, is that he was pretty honest about it. He's like, yeah, I drink too much. You know, he's had a bunch of swipes at rehab, and he talked about every single time he did. And I'll tell you what, I think that's the thing that touched base with me the most when I was reading about his life, and I was reading about how many attempts he made to get sober over 25 years. It's in the hundreds, like concerted efforts, whether it was rehab, detox, sober living facilities, group homes. Mm-hmm. Like the guy tried everything he could to get sober. In the last few years, let's say 2-3 years of his life, he was sober. He was living this thing. And you know what he did?
I hope he didn't slip.
I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he didn't from everything I've read. You know what he did with whatever time he had left? Cognitive decline from drugs and alcohol, right? Cognitive decline. You saw it there. You heard it there. Lost his money. Lost his reputation. Lost his desire to act. Lost it all. Tried to do bit parts in there. But the one thing he never gave up on was trying to get better. Ever.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Continued to fight and fight and fight and fight until he got it right. And then he died at 54. So what did he get? 3 maybe sober years out of this journey? It took him like 20, 30 years of drinking, 30 years of drugs, 30 years of misery. As he describes it, misery. He never gave up. And I fucking love that story here. There's so much sadness to talk about when you're talking about a guy like Matthew Perry or anybody who's in throes of addiction or anybody who struggles mentally, physically, emotionally. And you watch him die. You hear the story about how he died. And it wouldn't have mattered if he relapsed to me. It wouldn't have mattered because he would have tried again because that's all he did. Mm-hmm. And we vilify so many people for going, oh, there he is. He's back on the sauce. There she is. She's doing drugs again. There that person is. They're doing this thing again that we don't approve of.
I don't think we should vilify them, but
his effort to beg for help lasted 30 years. Like 30 years of saying, help me, trying, going backwards, 30 years. He never gave up, man. And that's what I fucking love about Matthew Perry today that I didn't know about until this weekend, is how many efforts he took, how hard he tried for himself and the people around him, right? And he decimated himself, ruined his brain, ruined his body, ruined his mind, ruined his heart, ruined all kinds of physical attributes, ruined his ability to communicate properly, ability to get a job. And instead of doing anything other than what he did what he did, which was like, hey, I just hope people know I can help people. That's fucking remarkable to me.
You know what's interesting about his story that I think is sort of a good walkaway piece is, you're right. We do vilify the addict, right? And quite often there is people have very strong opinions, myself included, about what you get yourself into, right? And I know we have conversations all the time about, the safe injection sites and things like that people have very, very strong opinions about. And like, there's not a lot of difference between Matthew Perry and what he went through and somebody living on the streets in Vancouver.
Nothing.
Right? Addiction's addiction. He had a different lot in life and a different path, but he had this hopeless addiction that he just couldn't shake for so many years. And I think that's a good thing to highlight right now. Matthew Perry, star of Friends, struggled with this forever, and we will remember him and try to prop him up and put him up on a pedestal because we love his character. Did on TV. But there are people that are living on the streets that have similar issues. They cannot fucking shake their addictions. And for some reason, we can't put those two together, right?
Yeah, it's a great point, because it's Chandler Bing. Everybody's going, oh, it's a tragedy, but there are probably about 100 people that died of opioid overdoses yesterday that just can't get out of it, right?
Well, no, that is the number. We're losing 100 people a day in Canada. And those 100 people, you'll never hear their names because they weren't on Friends, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just 54-year-olds, there's 29-year-olds and people that have been addicted for very short periods of time that are just hopelessly, they spiral. You lose them and their families lose them, right?
I think that's why I get so fucking angry when we talk about the politics of safe injection, or we talk about the politics of taking drugs off the streets and jailing people who do them, forcing them to go clean, forcing them without any understanding of what they're going through. And as someone who's had to go through it, the only thing that changed my life was grace, love, compassion.
Yeah.
That's it. I wasn't going to give up on me. I didn't give up on me. That would have never have happened. It would have been devastating if other people did. And then you watch the political machine on the conservative side tell people that tent city is just a bunch of degenerates and we should just throw them in the ocean. Or people that struggle with addiction should be forced to get help. Of course they should, but you can't force anybody to do anything. Chandler Bing is fucking living proof. For 30 years, he was forced. Labels, forced. Television show, forced. Friends, forced. Family, forced. Do you know what he said? Why he quit? He just needed to. He was tired. And you don't know what's going to come for you before you get too tired. You might die if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict. But what people don't understand that try to tell people like Chandler Bing or the Dean Blundells or the Lachlan Cross or anybody else who does something that some people might not approve of, that might be illegal. But if it's drugs or alcohol related, the only people they're hurting are themselves, and we want to hurt them again, right? So in memory of what Chandler Bing said, where he's like, I just want to be remembered as someone going to help other people quit drinking. I can do that. I can help you with that. I hope that's what I'm known for. That is heroic. After the chastising that guy went through, how he felt about himself, his book details how he always felt like a fucking imposter, never felt good enough, never felt smart enough, never felt good looking enough. Dude was one of the biggest, coolest, best looking stars in television history for about 10, 15 years, right?
Well, people talked about him like everyone was jealous of his talent, like his ability, right? I mean, I've seen more than a couple of statements after the fact now, people that grew up with him at whatever stage of life, and they were always like, this guy was always the funniest guy in the room every time. It was over when he walked in. Everybody else just, took second second seat to him on the comedy side of things. Very entertaining guy. Yeah.
Fascinating. Anyway,
it is important, I think, to look at this from that perspective, though, with those eyes. And the thing that I struggle with is we keep throwing money and services and things, and and I'm not suggesting we don't do those things, but man, every one of these sort of addiction issues, you have to treat them all very differently. And it's not a one. That's the problem with it. It's not like a one thing fixes all. So I think you just got to get behind. It's like anything. It's going to take numerous different approaches to help out a very small portion of the of that community, that addicted community. And I think you got to keep trying, right?
It's funny because I got a phone call, and I'll end with this. I got a phone call because addiction's a serious thing. I got a phone call from somebody the other day in a band. Everybody would know who this person is. Person says, I can't stop. I just can't stop drinking. And I said, I know. And they said, I need some help. I said, I know. And they said, can you help me? I said, I can. Just got to call me. Just call me. I'll call you you can call me anytime. Phone's on 24/7. Call me anytime. Never called. Next day, never called. Next day, never called. Next day, never called. This was, let me recap, about a year ago. This last weekend, Matthew Perry dies. Phone rings. Okay, I'm calling. I said, yeah, good call. I said, how are you? He goes, way worse. Way worse. Listen, kids, never a better time to reach out for help than now. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Doesn't matter what your drug of choice is. If you do not have an answer, there are people out there who do. Okay. It's not life or death, or it might be. It doesn't matter. But what quitting looks like is you doing nothing. Okay. That's quitting. It's not courage. There's no virtue in stopping. There's no virtue in being afraid to reach up and grab someone's hand who might be able to pull you up over that wall. None. There's no value in it. There's only value in you, your life, giving you a chance to succeed, giving you a chance to be healthy, be happy. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the answers, I would never expect someone to go to Mount Everest, show up to base camp and go, I'm just going to do this myself. You can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. But what Chandler Bing and so many other people, Matthew Perry, so many other people who are well today, and I count myself to be lucky in that group, what they did was they stopped pretending they knew what to do, and they went and found people who knew what to do. And that's your first step. It's admitting that you have an issue. The second step is going and talking to someone about what you do. And the third step is doing it. That's it. Yeah. That's all you got to do. And it's not as scary as you think it is. Doesn't matter if it's depression, anxiety, drugs, alcohol. Doesn't matter if you're boofing Jenkum. It doesn't matter if you, whatever it is you're dealing with.
I haven't tried that.
Butt hash.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that if you're in a position where it is dominating you and you are miserable, and you don't have any answers, go get some help. Everybody's here to do that for you. There's a lot of people out there that want you to be good, especially the people that love you the most. And Matthew Perry is living proof of that. His entire family rallied around him. The outpouring of support from people around the world, people who knew him, people who didn't know him, it was as remarkable. Usually when a drug addict or an alcoholic dies, everybody's like, oh yeah, we saw that coming. Not in this case. Do you know why? Because everybody knew he wanted to live more than he wanted to die. And that was his superpower. So you have the same ability. I hope everybody embraces that today.
Well, on that note, I'm going to go fucking have a drink.
Yeah, you're allowed though, because you can moderate it. You can do whatever you want. Have a great day.
I've always been that lightweight. I'm the first one to bed, and that's always been my worst. Like for me, that's been a gift. I have a drinking problem, but I quite easily succumb to the amount that I drink.
You pass out before you can develop alcoholism. I think
Well,
that's
no,
alcoholism.
No, we're already
I don't
there.
think you can define it. I don't think you can say, listen, I'd be an alcoholic.
I'm already on
If
that.
I didn't pass out all the time, I'd be a bad drinker.
I just don't have the ability to keep drinking. Like I got to quit. I need to pull the pin. It's usually quite early. People would probably be surprised at how early. I had 6 beer yesterday before 5:30. And I was gonna pre-drink before the hockey game. I know it was Sunday. I was gonna pre-drink before the hockey game, and then I was like, well, I'll have a couple during the game. And then I started making this big stew, and I got into the drinks, and the next thing you know, I'm like, I'm 6 beer in. And now I want to go to bed. So I didn't even make it until the end of the hockey game.
You didn't even. You didn't miss the hockey. The Oilers. Oh yeah, they won the Heritage.
They won. I think I saw the end of the second. Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a fun time. Great to see you. Thanks, bud.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got the colonoscopy.
Thank you.
Please
Everybody go get
glasses. Your eyes are way too close together, and your head's too big.
I think I have to fart.
Record
I've been
it
holding
for me.
in this. Well, no, I've been holding
Record
in these
it for
farts
me.
because I had my colonoscopy
get
today. I've been holding it in, and I'm worried that something else is going to come out. So I'm just making sure I won't draw mud.
All right, I'm leaving.
I don't trust my farts yet. Talk to you soon. Lachlan Cross. He's out of here. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the program. Don't forget, you can get everything you do at crier.co. Go to crier.co today for more information about everybody from Charles Adler to Dean Blundell to everything to do with why Pierre Poilievere can't get security clearance. We didn't get to that today. We'll get to that tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you then. Bye.